Banking in the UK. It is actually very important to have a bank account in the UK for so many reasons, such as at least you have somewhere to save your money. You don't need to go about with your cash. Safety of having your money in the bank. Another thing is, if you're going to be working in the UK, that is where your employer is going to be sending your money. There's no employer that's going to pay you cash in your hand. So they want you to have a bank account where there can be an evidence to show that yes, they've paid you and you've received the money. So they will actually, most of the time, except for contract work and some work that you just do hand to hand, you would definitely most likely need your bank account. And if you're going to be in the UK long term, not just on a visitor visa, not just for a short term, I think having a bank account is actually important, because then it's also a proof of you being in the country. And also when you're maybe in the future you decide to have mortgage, to borrow, or anything that has to do with lending, buying property, or those important things, even lending money to buy a car, your bank account is going to be a contributor, or it's going to help even your credit score, or it's going to be an evidence to say, oh, you've been in the country for so time and you've been banking with this particular bank, so they are able to trust you enough because they can monitor your transaction, what you earn, what you spend, and they can trust you with their money, either to lend you money or to help you to get your mortgage in the future. So having a bank account is actually most of the time in the UK not optional. And for the fact that you don't need any money to open an account, unlike back in my country, you need to have some amount of money, maybe 1,000, 2,000 naira, whatever the bank is, you need to have something to open a bank account. In the UK, you do not need any deposit. You don't need to have any cash. What you will need, if you're a student, you will need your student ID. If you have a house here already, definitely, maybe most of the time, you have an address, a proof of address. And then even if you don't have a student card, if you're a student, you can get a letter or something to show that you're a student. And if you're working, most of the time, your employer will write a letter, or even your employment letter, just something to show that you're working with this company, you've got this address, you're trusted enough to have a bank account, you don't need any money. So mostly those are some of the things you will need. Sometimes they may ask you for a BRP card or your proof of identity, which may be your passport, because when I opened my bank account, I did not have my BRP card yet. When I opened my bank account, I was in England at that time, and it was HSBC. What my employer did was just to book an appointment, and yes, you need an appointment. When I opened my account, I had an appointment, 2 hours appointment, which I was able to sit one-on-one with the person who opened the account and explained everything, because it is you opening a bank account and it is you going into a contract. You need to understand what you're getting yourself into, because it is not just you going to open a bank account for the sake of it. It is a very important decision. Presently, I have 3 bank accounts. One is Monzo. Monzo is just an online banking, which at some point, I was not allowed to even use my card because they don't have office. It's just like a spend as you go kind of bank. I opened it online, which was Monzo, which I don't use anymore. Back even in the UAE, we have HSBC, and it is actually in a lot of countries. So I actually used to know HSBC as being worldwide. So that was the first bank that was actually of interest to me, for me to open, and that was my salary account. So moving to Scotland, Bank of Scotland is just 2 minutes walk away from me. So I decided to open the Bank of Scotland account. Presently, I have 2 active accounts and 1 inactive account. Opening a bank account in the UK should be one of the priority once you're in the UK. And then you begin to hear terminologies that you don't understand. I'm going to be sharing my experience with you when I first came into the country. And the first time when I went to open my first bank account, which was HSBC account, it took me ages, because the banker was talking through everything and then mentioned overdraft. I'm like, what is overdraft? I couldn't figure it out until she explained. And I'm telling you, before we finish all the explanation that has to do with my opening account, it was almost a 2 hours appointment I had. So I'm going to be telling you some of the terminologies you're going to come across being in the UK. The first is going to be overdraft. So what is an overdraft? An overdraft is simply money you're being borrowed that continuously stay in your account until you use it and then you pay back. Don't get fooled by overdraft. For instance, you can have an overdraft they will ask you, how much overdraft do you want? Do you want 1,500 or 1,000? Just depend on whatever amount you want. It's not compulsory. If you don't want it, say you don't want it. Like the Bank of Scotland I have just now, I don't have overdraft in that account because I just don't want to be bothered. So an overdraft is the money you're being borrowed by the bank that sits every time in your account, meaning you always have access to that money. There's an arranged overdraft and there's an unarranged overdraft. So if I've arranged overdraft of 1,500, that means even though I don't have a penny or anything in my account, I'll have 1,500 to borrow from the bank. And depend on your own interest rate, then you get a fixed interest rate on that amount of money, then you need to pay back. So when you're paying back, you pay back the interest rate, which is usually most of the time cheaper than taking a loan. So an overdraft is just like an emergency money that you can always get access to if you need the money. So if I have an overdraft of 1,500 and I have something very urgent that I want to do with 1,500, even if I have like 1,000 or 2,000 already in my account, but what I want to do is worth 3,500. I have access to 3,500, which is the 1,500 from the overdraft, and the 2,000, which is my own money. So I can pay it back immediately as soon as possible. And there's something called an unarranged overdraft. So that is an overdraft you go into borrowing money from the account or using money that you are not entitled, or you've not arranged, you've not agreed to say this is what you're going to be borrowing. That means you don't have the money as an overdraft, you just want to spend it. But there's usually a cap where you cannot spend more than this particular amount of money if it's an unarranged overdraft. If you don't have an arranged overdraft, you can sometimes still spend money as an unarranged overdraft in your account, but then you're going to be charged as well, and you're going to be charged more than when you have an arranged overdraft. So it is also actually good sometimes to have an arranged overdraft, so because you don't know what the future will say, you don't know when you will need the money, if in case of emergency, especially when you're new in the country, you may be broke most of the time. So that is what an overdraft is. And then another thing that was actually a problem for me was contactless. Like, why will I want to do contactless? What is contactless? You see, there's something here that looks like a Wi-Fi. I hope you can see it. If you can't see it, I'm just going to put a picture on the screen. It looks like a sign of Wi-Fi. And that alone, once you go to the shop or anywhere you want to spend money, just tap that part on the machine and pim, your money is gone. So when they were asking me, do I want contactless card? I'm like, why will I want contactless card? What if somebody just come close to me and scam my money? Or what if somebody just carry my card now without needing PIN and go and spend all my money? I was so paranoid. I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh, your baby girl is a bush. I'm a bush girl. So it took me ages before the banker could convince me or make me understand what contactless is, because I can't figure out why I would want to have contactless card. But sincerely speaking, I'm loving contactless. All my cards are contactless and it is actually life-saving. You don't need to put your PIN code. You don't need to put anything. Once you buy something, as far as I know, especially around me, that is less than £30, you just swipe your card. Woo! And it doesn't matter, you can do £29 here, £20 there, and go to another shop and do. As long as it's not more than £30, you don't need to put your code. But if it's more than £30, you just need to put it in, and then they will ask you for your code. But if it's not up to £30, you will just go shop and pim. Even the boss, you just put your card and that's it, gone. Life is easy. But it took me ages to be able to understand that contactless is not as harmful. So there's a cap to how much you can spend, which is £30. So they cannot steal all your money away. And the moment you know your card is missing, there's a way you can quickly block that card on your phone or go to the bank. Immediately they will block it for you. So it is not as scary as it sounds. So don't allow contactless to scare you. So you already know, because GLORIA have told you, yes. So it's okay, go for contactless card, and those are some of the words you're going to be hearing. And then there's direct debits, because someone have asked me what is the difference between direct debit and standing order. Direct debit is usually set, but be careful when you're setting direct debit, because sometimes you set direct debit and if you don't monitor what you spend every month, if you don't check your bank statement or statement of account, you just keep paying money that you're not using. Actually, maybe like when I stopped driving one particular car, I forgot to cancel a direct debit I had on that car. So you need to remember to cancel them when you're no longer using those services. Direct debit is just money you've agreed with your bank that your bank will be allowed to go out to a particular person or to a particular company every month or over a set period. So your bank will actually mail you or send you something to say, did you authorize this direct debit? So if you're not the one who authorized it, you can easily contact them and cancel, but then they will send you something to ask if you've authorized. If you have, you don't need to do anything. But then those people, let's say for instance, if I want to set a direct debit, like let's say my phone, let's say my internet now, I want to get internet direct debit, the company will phone me, internet company will contact me, arrange with me, and tell me how much I'm going to be paying, and then I'll give them the go ahead to contact my bank. I will give them my sort code and my account number. Usually sort code in UK is just a 6-digit number on your card, and then there's a very short number, I think 8 digits, that is your account number. So those are the number that are very important when you're making those type of transactions. They will ask you for your sort code and your account number. So once you give it to them, they will contact your bank, and your bank will contact you to say, is this approved? So once it's approved, if it's monthly, every month on that particular day, your money will just go pure, silently. The money will just go to that company. And the moment you're no longer interested in that thing or in that contract or that service, you have to go back either to your bank or online and just cancel. It's very easy to cancel direct debit. But what is a standing order? A standing order is not, you don't have the consent of your bank in this. In a standing order, it is a money you set. Because in your mobile application, you will see where they will say standing order. Let's say you've made a payment. They will ask you, is it a standing order? That means, do you want them to make this payment to this person every month? Especially for things like rent. So if you put it as a standing order, on that same day, the money will go. But it is between you and that person. The bank is not involved. So the bank will need to grant the go-ahead for a direct debit. But a standing order, you don't need the bank to grant the go-ahead. Does it make sense? Although the money is still going from your account, but it's just between you and the person. It's just that every time, send this particular money to this person as a standing order. You can also cancel it. Have current account and interest rate debit account. So what is a current account? You must have known this back home. A current account is just simply an account you have access to your money all the time. Anytime you want to use your money, it is your money, you can spend it. Why interest deposit account is an account where you have to notify the bank to spend your own money, because they will give you interest for keeping that money with them. So that means they can use that money to either, maybe they can lend the money out, they can do whatever they want to do with the money, as long as they have the money when you need the money. But you will have to notify the bank before you can use your own money. Does that make sense? So it is very easy like that. Usually they will give you your ATM. If you want credit card, they will give you credit card, and credit card is also helpful when you're building your credit score. Personally, I don't have a credit card. I hope I don't need one. But if you want to get a credit card, if you're eligible, they will give you a credit card. And credit card simply means you have money. Sometimes it can be 4,500. It is more than overdraft. And the interest rate is actually different also. They want you to, credit card is just like telling you that spend this money and pay it back. Spend this money and pay it back. They will borrow you money and they want you to pay it back quick. So my question is, if I know I'll be able to pay back quick, why will I have to borrow the money? So that is how credit card works. There's money on that card, maybe like 4,500, that you can spend whenever you want, and you have to pay it back. So those are some of the terminologies you're going to be hearing in the UK. I hope I've answered a few of your questions. And opening a bank account is actually not difficult, and it's just something that is a normal thing. You don't need money, like I've said, and I hope you understand what I'm saying and you don't have any other question in regards to opening an account in the UK. It is something that is good, and it will help you to actually even feel along, and at least you don't need to be putting your money under your pillow or burying it in the ground. If you have a bank account. And that is the end of this topic for today. If that has been helpful, or you enjoyed any part at all of this video, please like, subscribe, click on the notification bell. I'll see you again in my next video. Until then, stay safe and keep your money in the bank. Don't bury it under your pillow so our ants will not eat it. Thank you. I will see you in my next video. Until then, bye.